Okay, well, I don't know why it was giving me a headache. The orientation was off. So I'm just mapping out a new piece. And I thought this would be interesting because there are, this will be a lot of exploring. I just have that kind of energy, that kind of mindset today. I don't know what's going to happen or where I'm going. But we're going to lay out an acrylic underbody, kind of like mapping out some ideas, and it could get go in a bunch of different directions. So I thought it would be interesting to dive back into some streaming with this piece because I don't know where it'll end up, and sometimes these pieces even have energy where they'll never even get completed because it's just I have a desire just to paint right now without kind of seeing anything through or any sort of I just want to paint, so there's no real game plan. I stick to my kind of reference photos to start because I do have some sort of um, connection with it. I made this in one of the newer AI image generators, like Baroque paintings using old pop icons or icons. But I just like the layout and the shadows, so I'm gonna see. But I'm really interested in letting it get out of hand. But you can see I'm just really, there's no attachment to anything, and that's kind of where my head is today. I was working on another painting earlier where it needs a lot of dedication, and I just don't feel like dedicating anything today. I just really want to do what I'm doing right now and see what happens. So I'm just using like an image that I have no, I like it, but you know, I don't care about it. It's not that important to me, but I just want to see how this ice cream man is outside. Can you hear that? There's chiming, the chimes. this essentially is me drawing out my paintings. So other people start with like literally a drawing and pencil and eraser and go that route, which, you know, standard. I typically draw with my acrylics. So these acrylics are really easy to manipulate and change. They dry within seconds, minutes rather, and I use glazes, so that also helps the dry time, and really easy to manipulate after there's a base on here. Like, just because you see, like with oils, there's different tactics and strategies. With acrylic, especially as an underbody, it's a totally different, it's way more forgiving. So I need a day where I'm just, I need some forgiveness today. I don't want any sort of commitment, and I don't want any, it's not dedicated to say I don't want to, I don't want to dedicate myself to anything, but I did have almost like a hankering to bring some faces to life, and I just like this layout of the characters, the 1, 2, 3, and then this subject down here. So I don't care if the characters match the reference at all. Mind you, I don't mind them either. Like, so if they start coming through, that's cool too. But today I just felt like, I don't know. Just wanted to like see what happens if I play around and have some fun. Almost anticipating that maybe I just end up painting over this completely. So it gives you some, how would I say that? It gives me a lot of room to explore and no pressure. That was what I was thinking. There's just no pressure right now. I can't, my brain can't. I've dedicated the last couple of weeks to seeing ideas come through pretty clearly. So it took a lot of discipline, and I'm just all out of discipline right now. And sometimes discipline's more fun than actually exploring, and then sometimes exploring with no commitment is fun too. It just depends what you're looking at. Like, if sometimes I really want to see something come to life that has a lot of dedication and put a lot of time, and that kind of like process can be quite stimulating. Fun might not be the right word, but rewarding. And sometimes not having any sort of direction or real purpose can also be really stimulating. It just depends where you're at. And right now I just don't want to commit to anything. I don't want to have any sort of, I don't know, my brain can't handle it today. I'm going to see if I can get some like figures, because once I have like a figure outline, once I have like my figures in place, I can then start getting a little more dedicated, but also while exploring. Like, so I guess the difference is it's just not all abstract. It's not all abstract, right? I want those figures in there. And again, I like the composition of the 1, 2, 3 characters. So this is my acrylic medium. Just makes the darker, in this case, the darker color go a long way. Oh shit. Black and red. And actually just drop some acrylics. This comes back into the kind of adding, subtracting process, which is, I feel like, still the best way to describe my underbody process, where you put some paint down and then you take it away, refining your areas to bring the image closer and closer to the direction that you're aiming for. And that's why I really consider like this is how I draw out my pieces. So instead of with like a pencil, I'm just drawing out things with my acrylics as my underbody. So I just talked about like the adding, subtracting. So I just subtracted by adding some of that dark background color, kind of molding some of my figures. And now we're gonna add. I don't even care what color this is. This gray that I'm adding now is just still finding the character. I'm still discovery mode. This guy's weird in comparison to the reference. I'm going to disregard it for now. think you should do things like this where you really have no attachment to the outcome sometimes. Like taking a day or doing sessions where you have certain pieces where you're combining like some force but also really open to just exploring in a very abstract way. I think it's good for me, good for my work. Yeah, my brain needs to know everything's okay. And what I mean by that is like, oh, you had the eyes, you lost the eyes, you had the hands, you lost the hands. Doesn't matter. None of it matters right now. Oh, you had the figure, you had the... None of that matters. And I think this process, as I get older, is like, it's not that it's I do it less. It's just I very rarely kind of almost capture it, like a recording of this, because it kind of happens spontaneously. And I found it today. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna. I'm done having a pre-thought out idea. I just wanna paint, kind of for the sake of painting. And I don't want to work on anything that I wanted a fresh start. So I didn't want to work on any other concepts that are ongoing. Totally fresh idea. And what can I discover when I'm here? Kind of letting myself explore and try to confuse myself on purpose too a little bit. And reference really helps me not get too derailed or too far away from something, because it took a long time even to find this reference today, to work this out, where I'm like, okay, I have enough energy around this idea to actually prime a canvas and a panel and start. It took a while for me to go, okay, let me start here. So back to originally what I was saying, I think this is the most important part. Like, really think about this as a drawing. You have to. I have to express that over and over again, because right now this is like I'm really treating like drawing out with a pencil, but I just do it in acrylics because they kind of have a multi-purpose to it. And right now I'm just adding. See, I really like how that started to look. And that's kind of what I'm here for right now. Using this reference, and then what can I create myself from this reference? So I was just adding. Now, go back to the darker little pane I made. And let's subtract. But I'm going to get a little tight. I'm going to make my brush a little smaller, so more refined. I don't need to go crazy. Her hair in this is like that, so let me fuck around with it. Oops, can't swear, right? Adding, subtracting, we're subtracting right now. Pulling away from some of the characters I'm working on. And just keep doing this over and over again. You'll make a ton of mistakes. You'll lose stuff that you wish you didn't. You just go back and forth, back and forth. But over time you can start really creating stuff out of nothing. Kind of remind myself, I don't like anything. I'm not attached to anything. I don't have any sort of preference right now, and stay that way. Stay that way. I don't care where this goes yet. I don't care where this goes yet at all. So like I can totally destroy it. You have to have some sort of like kind of gauge where you're trying to pull. That's what the reference is for. So I'm trying to keep within these characters like the shapes, the general like square circles and squares. But other than that, I don't want to carry it. Because I want to see what I pull from this abstract process of using a reference, but then pulling it into my world. I just like, again, the composition. The hand, I actually don't like this guy so much, but the four characters and the way that they're laid out with the lighting. That's it. Everything else is up for interpretation and exploration. And then at some point you'll either have to start liking stuff and having a direction, or you have to totally abandon it or go in a different direction altogether. And that's okay, but like anticipate that when you're exploring paint pieces like this, because that's what I needed today. I didn't want to have like, okay, this is the direction we're going from the jump. From the jump. I didn't want that. I wanted just to play. I'm rambling, forgive me, I don't like I'm just telling you what's in my head as I paint. But what I've been doing for years too, I think. This is a long tradition for me on my end. Long-standing process that I've been doing for a long time. So now I just found something. It was pretty sudden, but I like the abstract figures, like the not nonsensical, but that's the right word for now. Like, this is not how a human body looks, but all of a sudden it really, everything started to speak to me. So I have this kind of, this looks like a bit of a Stevie Wonder, right? Playing the piano, like that face. There's a random hand here. I see something that's going to come to life here. I really all of a sudden like this guy. Like his shoulder is just non-existent, but then has this like bulging arm that seems to be grabbing on. So based on the reference, you kind of know what I'm talking about. And then if I can pull, so I'm like, okay, so I'm happy here. What does that mean? Well, again, I was playing. What we'll do is let's do a wash. I don't know if you can hear me. Let's do a wash. So already, because it's an acrylic underbody, an acrylic drawing, if you will, this is going to be dry within minutes, literally. You can kind of play around with your fingers too, because again, acrylic, right? But any of the area that but now I'm going to wash them, and what's happening is I'm still playing in the, if you zoom out from the work that I've been doing over the last couple of weeks, last week or two, I'm playing in shadows, the shadows, and in glazes. So I didn't mention that earlier, so there is some sort of rhyme and reason to my madness where if this piece landed already in a spot that I'm really excited about. I just want to play with faces and characters, and I want to bring them to life using the techniques that I've been using all week, which are like multiple layers of glazing. So when I talk about a wash, I'm already going into an area of glazing, essentially. You're listening to a madman, I'm sorry. Good luck to you, trying to follow what I'm fucking talking about. Just is what it is. I'm trying my best. So this is the acrylic medium. I put a little bit of black and brown and red, but very little. And not water, and you'll see why in a sec, because you'll see this glazing effect that holds better than water in my experience. And for me, it's dry enough. It's not completely dry, but it's dry enough to just do this wash. And I'm actually surprised we landed way faster than I thought. to start this process, to this stage in the game. Also keep in mind, I just want to have fun today. I don't really care so much. But I am attached to these characters already. Oh, she's a little bit wet, so you see the glaze I'm mixing in with the other layers that aren't dry. Oh, good. Oh, good. Remember, like, who cares? Who cares? I like it. And if I mess it up, I can just remember add and subtract. We'll add a little more in there. And that's the process. Keep playing around. Go with it. Oh, that's too dark, right? This wasn't dry enough at all. Just go with it. Get a more glaze in there and go with it. Go with it. Oh, you know what? I'm really happy now that I streamed this piece because this is just insane. More. Admittedly, we've lost some things that, you know, I probably wouldn't. All I had to do was wait another 5 minutes, it would have been dry. But I really have to say, who cares? It doesn't matter. I didn't lose it completely. I think that's like, you know, if I totally washed it all away, then it'd be completely, that's not in my best interest. Because remember, I told you I'm kind of attached to these people now. These people, these characters, these creatures. I also have to be a little bit careful because I can get pretty morbid, dark, and I don't want to. It's kind of like already too late for that, isn't it? But I don't want to get horror. Disturbing is okay. But the shadows and the darkness of the piece already add an element, and you can go too far really quick. So I'm keeping that in mind when painting, because I do try to, I don't want to be, you know, often if you paint something really dark and disturbing, just prepare to hang on to it for a long time. I'm not saying you'll never sell it, but it means that you have a much smaller audience that's actually going to want to grab that work from you. And that's not a blanket statement for everybody. There's some fantastic dark art painters that do really well, but in general, you paint something super disturbing, prepare to hang on to it. Probably indefinitely. It takes there's a select few. Mind you, the way that society's going, maybe dark art takes a resurgence, revival. I'm gonna pat down some of these areas. Remember adding and subtracting here. I'm gonna pull some of this back. Totally going on intuition. I haven't looked at the reference photo for 10 minutes, especially during glazing, it doesn't matter. And now the reference photo kind of got me to here. That's enough. Now let me bring this into my world. I do see a lot of dark imagery. A little more pressure, but even. if I decided to like scrape, I just put like a scrape with my nail. I don't want to get that kind of abstract. Because I'm glazing, I'm staying in that arena where like I'll put multiple layers on this if I have the energy, but that's kind of what I anticipate. Then I don't want to be fixing or working around scratch marks. Things like where you use your palette knife and stuff. Because once you start glazing, it's almost like a totally different mindset. I want to play around with, let me show you what inspired me here. 1 second. This piece I just finished yesterday. Still a little bit, no, not really. It's pretty much dry to the touch. And this skin, not even here, kind of just here, I'm really infatuated with it. I really like this skin. Here's kind of interesting. Anyways, I'm doing this whole painting because of that skin. And the only way that you get that skin is through glazes. And this piece started the same way. So this pig started with this acrylic process and then just grew. Now, mind you, I knew I was painting a pig with a gun on it from the jump. I just wanted the same experience, this kind of glazing technique with a totally different mindset, but the same kind of techniques, but different outcomes, right? So yes, you can take my, hopefully you can see that, my reference for just composition. I just needed a composition, figures, 3, 1, 2, 3, something here. Like I just like the composition, the darkness. Now, can I bring that, apply that glazing technique one more time, this glazing pig technique to this? And the only way to do that is get a base with acrylics and then build, well, you could do this with oils, but it's just the dry time, right? So now I have this base, this is dry, like 90%, 95, it's dry. Look, it's dry. You just saw me wash this whole thing, what, a minute ago, 2 minutes ago? So now I can put another layer of, I'm gonna still stick with acrylics. And kind of take it a little further. You have to be able to play with certain things. Like I want his hand to look like a hand. I do want a bulging chest. This looks like Van Gogh almost. This looks like Bert and Ernie, like on like a bad Halloween costume. I'm kind of obsessed with that. Then you have this guy. I don't know what he'll turn into. He used to look like Stevie Wonder. But I have my base now. I'm like really happy I captured this on stream because I started out with really low expectations and no direction. And a painting that I like kind of almost anticipated that maybe I'll never complete. So really free and detached to now where I feel like it has some life in it. And that happened kind of like in a like a light switch. And so it was just nice to, I can definitely pinpoint it now that I kind of didn't anticipate it to happen like that. So I'm happy I captured that on recording, because the moment I just saw, oh wow, I see something and I wanna bring it to life. Still go back to what I said, subtracting. Like right now I'm pulling away to refine my characters, and then we'll add. Adding, subtracting. I'm looking at my reference again, even though we're going in it, but just for some of the shapes, the shading, even some of the tones. I kind of want this collision of abstract, like this Francis Bacon style, abstract and some realistic elements. I'm gonna add something here. And then you kind of make it up as you go along. The reason that really works with this style is because it's this Baroque, super dark shadow, dramatic lighting. You can really play with things and make them look like something really easily because of the shadows. It gives you so much forgiveness. So you're like, that's not a hand. But with dramatic lighting, you're like, well, it's part of a hand. And you can kind of make that, you can kind of justify it pretty easy with dramatic shadows and lights, cinematic lighting. Very forgiving. Now, that was my subtraction phase. We'll have a little fun here. Because I'm using acrylic still, feel free to, get a little crazy. So let's see what happens when I get a little crazy. I might need to change my references soon too. So I put some marks down, right? Again, in a really abstract way, like I don't just playing. Still kind of have the mind that I can't be too attached. I'm more attached than I was 20 minutes ago. But I'm also really, I don't care, I can't care. I can't care, not yet. It's not ready yet, it's not ready for caring. Still distract, still create problems for yourself to solve, literally. Because kind of in the mending process, you'll start to see stuff that you're like, oh my God, that's so crazy. Like, create problems. Create problems. I could put an extra hand here. No, I don't want that kind of problem. But I just added an extra appendage. Yeah, create problems. Maybe minor to middle weighted problems. I'm not looking for another head now. I don't want it. I have some things locked in, but create problems. I keep saying that because I think that's really what I'm doing right now. Create problems. Now is also the time to figure out if there's anything else happening in this painting, now that I got it to here. Like I was just thinking, I'm starting to play with his arm here. We're adding, right? Remember, adding, subtracting. We're adding right now. Adding this orange, kind of orangish red throughout it. Give it some color. Probably gonna let it dry for 3 minutes. And then probably do another wash, actually. I want these washes on here. Because some of these layers will stay for a long time, well, especially when I jump over to my oils. Because the oils, I'll jump into another glaze as well. Maybe some highlights. Let's see. Let's see. Again, let's call it adding. Let's add. I can truthfully say I still don't give it, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. This guy looks like a cool guy pose, right? Posing for like a 90s rap album. Cool guy pose. Here I still see that demonic Bert and Ernie cosplay kind of creature. Her, she's very Francis Bacon. Still see Van Gogh here. Cool guy pose. I got something to say, and you're gonna listen to it. Pose. Okay. Bring you in a little closer. Vegan dolls. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat now. Great to see you, vegan dolls. The gobbler. Sorry, I'm just taking a break and looking at that, letting it dry a little bit, and oh my god. I think you'll always hear me complaining about my eyesight, but it just isn't. I gotta put on my glasses to read this. Suraj Sinha, what's up? Yeah, it's an eerie piece right now. I'll try to lighten it up, but it might stay pretty dark. Van Peak, what's up? Let's see what happens now. I did throw my glasses, it helps. It's dry to the touch. There's some bumps and stuff, that's okay. Let's put a wash on it. Let's do that. Let's even go with, oh, because I have it here, red. Let's do a red little wash. Here you can actually see what it is. Everything gets covered, that especially where there's imagery. The black doesn't matter as much anymore, the black color, the background. Just where there's imagery that I want to play with. This unifies it and also gives it a bit of a different appearance, and we're adding layers. Layers of glassy, translucent, transparent, kind of shift the painting. And because it's all one color, like a one color wash, that washes everything, it unifies it quite a bit. Not that I'm looking for that, but I'm just looking for things again to really inspire me and pull me in the direction of like, where is this painting going to actually go? That's the process. In a way, I wouldn't say this is like causing problems. As I was describing earlier, like cause yourself problems so you have to fix it. This is actually more, I would say, definitely falls into solution, where it just, this is going to help the painting. I think you might be a little too close. Okay. This looks like a haze now, but then remember it dries, right? That's part of the solution of the medium, the acrylic medium. Here you'll see a big jump now because one, I just put on my glasses and left them on. Two, I grabbed a smaller brush. So both an indication for me and you that, you know, we're gonna put some details in here now. But where and how, that is, like, what's going to happen is still very open. There's certain things I do like. I'm not going to destroy them on purpose or create problems right now. I'm going to start seeing if I can pull certain things that I like. But I don't know what's happening with this face at all. Same with some of these. I don't really know. Because, right, we don't even have a reference anymore other than what I started with. But I told you, we're gonna like see what my brain comes up with after I started. It's almost like the eyes, the head, this part of the head is looking this way, then this part of the face is straight on, and then like this part of the face facing this way. That's me causing problems. That's not really helpful. Very abstract, as you can see. Because that's just where we still are with the painting. I think because I'm playing around so much, it's still important that I'm in the acrylics. Because if I was doing this with oil, it's like you can only go so far before needing to let it really kind of like settle for a while. You know, and I don't know exactly when today, but you know, I'll take a break from this today and this will be completely dry because it's acrylics. And then I can start adding my oil layers. Let's try to figure out his apparel, clothing. Not too much paint, but let's just see if we can. I do think I want his shirt to be like this white Indiana Jones style. I don't care if things are anatomically correct. I don't care if things are proportionate. They do have to look I don't want to use the word good, but they have to look like I have to stand behind it. So I have to be satisfied with how it looks. That doesn't necessarily mean, again, like proportionate or anatomically correct. I'm not concerned with that. There will be some parts of the way I am that I want it to look. Finished or completed. But like, for example, if his hair right now doesn't even match up with his head, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, I don't care. But you want it to be hair, if that makes sense. So I don't care that it doesn't land, but I do want it to make sure it looks like hair. His shirt and his body, same idea. I don't care if it lines up with his head, but I don't want them to be so deep into abstract where you can't even tell it's an arm or a shirt. So that might take a little bit of work. He looks like he might have like a robe on or something. I'll get to play in the shadows quite a bit with this. Let's play a little more in the shadow already. So remember I showed you the painting of the pig that I did, and the skin that I really kind of led me to this piece where I'm like, okay, I want a bunch of faces or characters that I can apply that same sort of technique and get that same skin effect. That's kind of led me to this point. So now I'm in trying to kind of envision what I'm going to do when I switch over to oils and start glazing. Can I get not only the skin effect, but what am I seeing here? So I'm kind of going over and over in circles to see what parts are really coming through for me, what I'm attaching myself to, and what needs to change. And I think why this process is not always smart or useful is because we can kind of end up going in circles, and sometimes you want a direct line to a finish, like you know what you need to do to complete a painting. Whereas this is like so ambiguous and random that you can kind of keep going in circles, going and going. So you're almost spinning your wheels a little bit, but I just needed that today. I needed to spin my wheels without having like, oh, I'm just gonna paint. I'm working on another piece where I'm painting like another bird, and I just don't want to have that kind of direct, clear line. Kind of want a bit of unconsciousness today. This is very unconscious, I guess, expressive style of painting. Because you really are working with problems that you're just causing for yourself. Oh, there was a hand here. Let's bring that back. I can. what I can say is I really am thinking about painting in oils right now, so I'm trying to see how that's going to play out. Even though I'm still using acrylics, I'm washing again, glazing with acrylic. I'm really now thinking, my mindset is changing over to oils and how that's going to look. Like what am I doing here? What am I even doing here? So as chaotic as it is, what is going to stay, what's going to go. So when you see I put those like really, I was doing these, let me show you quickly. About 5 minutes ago I was just running my brush around like this, right? And I was just marking things up really randomly, but then when I come back to it, I try to see what those marks actually gave me. So you can see it's a truly like progressive way to paint, where you're like using complete abstraction to bring a figurative character to life. And for me, often that process, just the pieces are pretty haunting. Because what I see, like when it, like that mouth, she's just, her teeth are chipped or missing, and this guy's a little less haunting, but he has like kind of like that serious style. This is goofy, but he looks pretty battered, right? Like his flesh looks rashy. That's just, you know, what I see in the abstract. And then I do like purposefully going, no, we're not going to go so crazy. So how do I turn this into something a little more digestible or a little less dark? Does it have to be this haunting? Sometimes it does. Sometimes, hey, this just is what it is. But I said earlier, and I kind of stand by this after I thought about it for a while, if you plan to paint something dark and morbid and disturbing, anticipate hanging it on your own wall, probably indefinitely. And I've already put the caveat in there that yes, there are a few dark painters that do very well. But in general, if you paint disturbing stuff, prepare to hang on to it. Hang on to it and hang it in your own house. Part of it also might be as simply as my palette, right? Like I'm just using flesh tones, basically. So let's try to mix it up here. Let me add something a little random. Just the first color I grabbed. That's bright. Let's try that. Will it make things a little more less disturbing by adding a brighter palette in here? I don't know. I just saw some idea where if we just take certain parts, try ever doing this with oil, right? You can't. So when that's just at this stage, it's so fun with acrylic because the layers underneath have dried. So you can just literally, and it's not toxic, right? So you can just totally play with this. So I'm adding some coercion, like personal. I'm not really out to set out to paint something totally gross or disturbing. So I'm just trying to make myself see something else. Again, if it's unavoidable, where I just can't pull myself out into a brighter spot, I'll go with it. But before I get to my oil phase of the piece, can I get it to be a little, pull it in a different direction a little bit, just a little bit, or is it going to be haunting? I like this guy a lot. I like this here too. This is whatever. This is whatever. I'm not sure. So let's Let's go somewhere else. Yeah. Let's go somewhere else. Hi, Pumpkins. Sorry. These brushes with acrylics, they really run down pretty quickly. So like often I'm not even using the brushes how they're anticipated for use. I just get the paint on there. But this brush has just had better days. But it's good for just getting paint, bringing paint over here. That's about it. Might as well be using my finger. And as you can see, I do that. Okay, so this did brighten up the painting quite a bit. You know, a little more funky trauma style, like neon, toxic vibe or reanimator vibe. And then just throw it throughout the painting because add some unity. So I have that lime green. And I'm just pulling it in here. So there's some things I really like about this piece. I like the distorted elements. And I'm just trying to have a nice fine balance between distortion and morbid before I jump to my oils. But we're getting close because now let me see here.